I'm not. Okay, you bet. We'll start in just a moment. We'll give the opportunity for our guests to sit down here and then we'll start. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which is the flag is off to your right, my left. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please remain standing. We would like to take a moment to recognize and honor those that we've lost in the last week or so. And of course, high on our list today is Doris Goring. And there's this, we have a slide up for the memorial for Doris, and in lieu of flowers, a special request has been made. And there's a memorial tribute form if you would like to contribute to that in the back after you're done. So let's take a moment. Are there any others that we could recognize, that we can memorialize? Let's take a moment for Doris. Thank you. Please be seated. And we do have Don with us today as a special visitation. Well, you know what? It's great to be back into a venue that we're getting back to the somewhat what we are able to do in the past. And one of those things is we have guests that we can actually take the opportunity to introduce. And Tammy, I'm going to let you go ahead and if you would take that. Institutional Budget Management, Iowa State. You know what? I should have given you a microphone. One of our new technologies is now with the microphone, everything supposedly is able to be heard from the folks at home. So use the C.Y. Stevens projection there. And Brad, at another time, we'll have you give the opportunity to share 5, 10, 20 minutes of your life with us. So our pleasure, believe me. We also have the honor of Steve Johnson from Annapolis being with us. Steve, please be recognized. Welcome. And for announcements, let me see what we've got here. Oh, I'm sorry. Boy, Louis, forgive me. Let's take the opportunity with our welcome song, and Louis will, oh no, Louis playing, John singing, wow.
Actually, we're gonna do the welcome song unaccompanied, and then we'll turn to accompaniment of our fine pianist, Louis. We welcome our guests and visitors, and I think it's appropriate, given we're at a brand new venue, that we christen this place with our singing. So here we go with the welcome song, and I'm going to go 1 and 2, and here we go. Welcome to you from Ames Rotary, Naveda, London, or Gay Paris, from far off lands or the USA. We're glad that you are here today. Come back again whenever you're near. Join us and then we'll make it clear. Around the world you will always be welcome at Rotary. And then for our song, given our speakers today, it's a Rotary song, and it's R-O-T-A-R-Y. And for those who have been many years in Rotary, it's in the Rotary Songbook. How many know this song? I'm going to expect you to really sing out. And Louis is going to have a brief intro, and then we're going to jump right into it. Here we go. R-O-T-A-R-Y, that spells Rotary. R-O-T-A-R-Y is known on land and sea. From north to south, from east to west, they profit most to serve the best. R-O-T-A-R-Y, that spells Rotary. Thank you.
Well, fun to get back into that routine. I appreciate that. Thank you, Louis. Thank you, John. And any announcements? What do we have here? Next week, we have the opportunity to listen to Nathan Johnson, who will be presenting on Musco Sports Lighting. And just this week, they had a special lighting ceremony at the Field of Dreams to make sure it worked for the game that's going to be going on. So they did that. Nathan will share more about that next week. We have fellowships that continue at the Green Hills. If you can't meet here and want to meet there during our times when we're not meeting live, that's a designated place for us at this time. In addition, August 23rd is a designated day of service, but we won't be meeting on that day. We will set aside a special day for an opportunity. And we're hoping that we'll be looking, I think, at trees that Tedesco will be watering since nature just doesn't quite give us enough at this time. And then on August 30th, we have a very special luncheon going on here. And we have the honored guest will be Dr. Winterstein. So we'll look forward to that time as well. And with that, are there any other announcements that anybody else had that I may have missed that I should bring to the attention of the club? Yes, Jim. I know the first is we are looking at other places that may also fellowship. At this time, Green Hills has stepped up and has honored that request. So that could move from place to place. The second one is, I don't know, well, you know, it's a BYOB or bring your own lunch. So you don't, I guess I know the answer to both those questions. Give me long enough to talk and I'll work my way through it. Yeah, there's a grill. And so Dr. Madden gets 10% of everything sold. Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. You could get in the habit of returning back to the gateway, but walk across the street. So for those that might be in attendance there. So those will continue on Mondays, and we appreciate obviously Green Hills opening their doors for that. And any other places that may want to look at other fellowships, we would also welcome that as well. Is that where we are? All righty. We have a real privilege today. Once a month, we're doing You Are Rotary. Today is that day. And in honor of that day, we have the privilege of two of our Rotarians, actually from the Boone Club, presenting for us today. Our first presenter is Dave Cook. Dave's a builder of consumer brands, his community and Rotary, in his community and Rotary. Dave spent 18 years with Dow Chemical and SmithKline Beecham in senior marketing positions, building consumer healthcare brands, including Nicorette, Nicoderm, and Aquafresh toothpaste. In 1997, Advertising Age named him one of the top 100 marketers in the United States. Following move to Iowa in 2000, he became a Sonic franchisee. During that time, he also helped organize community referendums for a new middle school in 2004 and a high school in 2011. And in the past 10 years, he's helped establish 28 endowments benefiting nonprofits in central Iowa. A Rotarian since 2001, Dave has served as assistant governor for Ames Rotary and for four other clubs. In 2012, he spearheaded the start of club visioning in our district, and during the next 6 years, facilitated planning for over 25 clubs and nonprofits. He also co-chaired his club centennial and Boone's Welcome Train team. He now serves as district membership chair. And it just occurred to me, and I apologize, Steve, you're going before Dave. So we have Steve Dakin, past district governor, well representative of AIM or of Rotary, and I apologize. I have your bio here in front of me, and nobody knows anything about you.
Here I am, a past district governor, and I'm already no respect. So. I always enjoy coming here. It's always, oh, you're a fun club. And one of the Rotarians asked me if I was going to have a joke. And I said, I'll tell you, silence is golden and duct tape is gray. So think of your first 100 years. Think what this community would have been without you. And so I can only imagine what the next 100 years is going to be for the Rotary Club of Ames and how it's going to change the community of Ames. So thank you for all of that. Polio Plus, 27 weeks without a reported case. Yes, I'm still wearing my purple beard. I'm not sure how much longer, but I am. But what a great thing that Rotary is doing. And yes, we are this close. So one thing that the COVID has shown, it's only a plane ride away. That's how viruses are. So simple, so easy to move. So let's stay the course and let's get polio stamped out in this world. Just finished up Riley here a week ago. It was at Cole College this year. We had 130 conferees. I've been there several times. Park, been there several times. These young people don't realize they're leaders yet. And we just go there to help expedite that accelerate, get them to recognize that they're already leaders. And why I bring this up, because we're going to be needing some Rotarians next year. We don't know whether it'll be at Cole, we don't know whether it's going to be at Grinnell or where else, but we know we're going to be doing it. And we always need Rotarians. I'll tell you a little bit how it works. There's a team leader, and then there's a Rotarian. And the Rotarian is not in charge. You're just there to give a little life lessons, a little advice, some life experiences. And one of the things that happens there is warm fuzzies. You send a note to someone, something just saw that you liked, something that you want to compliment them on. And I'm going to read just a part of a couple that I received. The light's kind of dim up here for an old man, but thank you for always making me feel what I say is important. Just, that's all you got to do. Just be listening. That's all there is to it. And I admire the way you use your ability to listen and to use a few words as possible to say a lot. Yeah, if y'all know me, I'm an introvert, except when it comes to Ryland, comes to Rotary. Then I get pretty wound up and the kids and I have a really good time there. And Park knows that. He's seen me in action. I've seen Park in action. The kids just love you getting involved. You're not in charge. You're just there to give some support and some wisdom. Give a life lesson. Yeah, I'd give a joke of the day to my team. You know, if you live in a glass house, change your clothes in the basement. Yeah, you know, you don't have a parachute to go skydiving unless you want to go twice. I give them a thought for the day. You know, be the person that your pet sees. Making good judgment usually comes from having made bad judgment and learning from it. You know, life's like a roller coaster, up and down. As long as you stay on the tracks, you're going to get somewhere. So, you know, just simple little things. And I know that this past year that you weren't able to sponsor anybody. We're looking for your participation in the future. I almost hate to tell you this because we've lost 2 good Rotarians to your club from Boone. And Karen would not do a trade. She really stood up for all of you. Yeah, thank you, Karen. Yeah. We have a great Rotarian I've known for a long time because she's a friend of my son's, Mandy Gustafson in the evening club. And she's going to be teaching English at Ames High. So now you've got an in to make this work. So take advantage of her and she'll do the job right. She's a great person, great Rotarian. I want to add a little bit to what, you know, I met Dave when he joined the club in 2001. We became friends. Most all my friends are Rotarians. You can imagine that. When he stepped down from being vision chair, it took 3 Rotarians to take his place. Yeah, that's Dave. Yep, and he spearheaded the welcome train there in Boone, and we're on to phase 2. We're all excited about that. We're finally going to get our name up there pretty soon, so that's exciting for us. And he had to deal with the DOT. He had to deal with all the municipalities. He had to deal with probably the worst was probably the underground stuff, I imagine, Dave. Yeah. But anyway, that's who Dave is. So I'm proud to call him my friend and fellow Rotarian. So here you go, Dave.
Well, good afternoon. We're going to talk about membership, which is not a new topic for this club, nor any other club. Let me just start off with, as a preamble, a couple things to kind of set the course, if you will, about what we're going to talk about today. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. Steve and I we got a fast start this year because membership for so many clubs is at the top of their priority list. And so we are going to be fortunate. We will have traveled to 50% of the clubs in this district, 50% of the 65, I think by the first week in October. And that's because we got off to a fast start because Steve, there were some clubs that he didn't get to visit during the pandemic. So he said, come on, ride with me. And we started May 1st. And we were in 4 clubs last week. We got to speak at Iowa City Noon, which to me, you know, that club is cut from the same cloth when I look at this club. They're both clubs that do so much in their community and beyond. And I will tell you this, and I know there are some issues that you guys are working through right now. I know that. But of this I am sure, this community needs a strong and growing Ames Rotary Club. District 6000 needs a strong and growing Ames Rotary Club. And so does RI. Because the work that you guys do and the leadership that comes out of this club is so very important. As we celebrate your centennial, and we start to think about this Rotary year and beyond, now is the time to think about membership. Because we were talking during our meal that there are so many people, and this last year we all experienced change, but there were people that all of a sudden found that service in their community was important. And they are looking for ways to demonstrate and get involved. And we need to be reaching out to those people to tell them, to let them know that Rotary is a place where you can do that and you can make a difference. And I thoroughly believe that the world needs Rotary now more than ever. It's true what they say. If you've been to one Rotary Club, you've only been to one Rotary Club. And you know, there is a common thread that ties us all together. Service above self. The four-way test. But beyond that, they are as unique and different as they can be. I include this on this slide for a reason. We're going to talk about some ideas today, some things that we have seen that will help grow Rotary clubs across the district. But this is your club. You decide whether it is appropriate for your club. These ideas don't come from on high, and they're not pushed down and clubs are forced to follow. These are just ideas, and our goal today is to plant some seeds. And with the problem solvers that exist in this club and the leaders, perhaps there's something that you can take away as you find your way forward into your second century. Regarding district membership, you're going to see some negative numbers today. We do not hide from our numbers. I learned early on that if you don't acknowledge your numbers, you are not likely to do anything to change them. So there's some negative numbers, and you know, give us some grace. It's our first pandemic, right? But the good news is that it just represents a new starting point from which to grow. We're going to see that Ames has lost some members too. And you'll see the numbers. For every club, we do a 10-year look to say, what does membership look like? And you're going to see a club that was, the resiliency was amazing. In the first 5 years of that look back, yeah, and then we hit a rough patch. So let's take a look at those numbers. For your to get your bearings here, the green line, that is District 6,000 membership over the 10-year period. The blue bars, that's Ames Rotary. And a couple things that I'll point out. See what I was talking about in the first 5 years? Look at the rock solid that Ames Rotary was. Your club clearly went against the trend. The trend was down about, over the 10 years, it's about 2%. On average, it was 2% per year. And then on came 2017, a little bit 2018, and your club lost a fourth of its members in that 5-year period. So, and by the way, you're not alone. There are others. And we're going to take a look at those numbers. But that is the challenge. If we're going to grow Rotary, and we need to grow Rotary, We have to be willing to challenge conventional wisdom at times while protecting those things that make Rotary, Rotary. The four-way test, as I mentioned, service above self. A couple of things else I'll just point out on this slide. Look at the drop from 2020 to 21. The average club lost 5 members. They lost 8.6% of their members during the pandemic. This club lost 4%. And one of the reasons why is because you guys were able to hang together. And, you know, you've got some great things that I know were interrupted because of the pandemic related to your centennial. But as a member of the Boone Rotary Club, I can tell you, we appreciate the things that you guys do. And as a club that was involved in your charter, we have tremendous respect. We may be older, but I can tell you in many ways, we think of you as our big brother, not our little brother. So we also try to take a look at women and those under 50. And why do we do that? Because Rotary is a club of men and women, women and men. It is one of the reasons why we are so effective in service projects is because we work well together. Your club, 36% of your members are female versus the district average of 32. 16% of your members are under 50 versus the district average of 10. You're going to see these numbers come back up. So remember the 36 and remember the 16, because you'll see as we kind of dive into this story, we're going to show you some ways that we have seen that can help to build what is already a very strong story. This is, if you haven't met him, and I have not met him personally, but this is Shekhar Mehta, who is the Rotary International president, and he has issued us a challenge, folks. He's issued us a challenge to grow to 1.3 million. And you know what? You talk about somebody with some courage, because a lot of clubs are sitting in the exact same place you are, saying, we just lost members, and now you're talking about growing. But that's exactly what we should be doing right now. We should be talking about growing. So here's the challenge. If you have a club of 20 to 24 members, you're being asked to grow to 25. Those below 20 are being asked to cut the difference in half between where they are and 25. And why is that? Because a club that has less than 25 members is a vulnerable club. It doesn't take a pandemic to basically send that club into a spiral. So we need those clubs, and we need them to grow. There's some really heavy lifting. Think about this. Think about if you are a club of 20, and you're being asked to grow to 25, you're being asked to grow by 25%, and probably the club is in a very small community. But that number is important. Let's look at something that's more applicable to this club. If your club has 25 or more members, you're being asked to grow by 10%. If your club has 100 or more members, you're being asked to grow by 10. You're being asked to grow by 10. For Ames Rotary, the challenge is to grow from 167 to 177. 167 to 177. Now I know the top of the slide is obscured. Let me just tell you my thought when I looked at that. If you can grow to 177, it's a game changer. Just take a look at that last bar, the 177. If you guys, the men and women in this club, can find a way to develop a plan to reach that 177, what does 2023 look like? Can you see that all of a sudden you might be challenging that number from 2019? And we're going to show you a couple examples. I mentioned you've lost 25% of your members in 5 years. I'm going to tell you a story about a club that lost 50%. And I'll show you what they did. So, how do you make this happen? How do you grow? How do you grow in an environment when many clubs are declining? First of all, not by just doing what we've been doing in the past. It requires us to adapt. Leonard Bernstein said, to achieve great things, two things are needed. One, a plan. It's not just, we're not fatalists. We don't just wait for people to walk in the door. We build a plan that says, how are we going to get from 167 to 177, and what are we going to do to make it happen? And the second thing you need is not quite enough time. And we don't have a lot of time, but that lack of time is what gets us out of bed in the morning. It's what makes us act. It's that urge to say, we have got to do some things because, guys, I know the women and men in this club feel about this club the same way I do, which is when I leave, I want my club and the clubs in District 6000 to be better than they were when I arrived. And that means finding Rotarians that will fill our shoes as we leave. So there's two questions that this club has to answer. One, do you accept the challenge? Are you up for the challenge? That's something that you will have to decide. And second, if so, how will Ames Rotary grow from 167 to 177 by June 30th, 2022? If that were to be your goal, you might say, hey, we're thinking more like 175, or you might say it's 180. The number is not nearly as important as the plan on how you're going to achieve it, because you'll find that once you set that and the club agrees to what that number is, the number of ways you will find to solve that challenge will grow. So we're going to talk about a few proven ways to grow. I always enjoy building this slide because I get a chance to go out and get to know the club through Facebook and their website. And I always enjoy the pictures. And, you know, obviously, the park at this club, you know, it's tremendous. I hear people talk about that have been there with their kids. I've heard nothing but just great things, and you all are to be congratulated on that, on your centennial project. Let's talk about 5 things. The first 2 are drop dead simple. Number 1, don't let the hole grow any deeper. Go out and re-recruit your current members and let them know that this club is going to work to become even better than it already is. And we need them. We need their help. And pay attention especially to your youngest members, your newest members, because they are the most vulnerable. And especially those, every club had members who disengaged during the pandemic. Reach out to them. Number 2, again, there's a thing called a club health check. Think about it as an annual checkup. It's not a lot of fun. You take one program, membership fills this out, and then your leadership basically takes the data away. And what they're trying to do is to find 1 or 2 things, 2 or 3 things that this club could do to become even better. Think about it as continuous improvement. It's just a way to continuously say, take the temperature of your membership and say, here are some things that we could do to become even stronger than we already are. Let's get into the meat. 3, 4, and 5. Sheikh Ahmeda is asking each one of us to commit to bringing in 1 new member. So it's not just bringing somebody to lunch, but it's actually looking out and saying, I remember during the pre-pets, this year, there was an incoming president that said, why wouldn't you want your best friend to be in Rotary? What a great question. All of us have people that we have worked with in the past that these people believe service is important and they're great people. And those are the types of people that reach out to them. Find somebody that you believe passionately would make a good member for this club, and then introduce them to Rotary and everything that it stands for. If we're going to grow Rotary and do the things that people are asking us to do, we need more like-minded, service-minded people. 4, spouses, partners, you can use any descriptive term you want. But spouses and household membership has great potential to drive incremental membership of women and younger professionals. And I'm going to show you some numbers here in a second that will back this up to the hilt. Many of our spouses are service-minded. I can think of no better example than Doris Goring. She walked the talk. We have so many spouses and partners that would make great Rotarians if we'd only invite them. And so your club's decision to adopt the household membership, to me, is really encouraging, because I think you'll be surprised. So many of our spouses and partners are service-minded, and they can do so much within your club and others. Finally, clubs like Ames are also looking at new membership options like young professional, virtual, and corporate. And I think that's really encouraging as well. And as your club learns, I can tell you that we want to learn from you on those areas, because we think there is great potential there as well. New club types include sunset or after-work clubs. What's so magical about these? They meet from 5:30 to 6:30. They don't involve a meal. They often involve hors d'oeuvres. And usually they take place at a location where beer or wine is available if the Rotarian wants to purchase it. This 5:30 to 6:30, I call it the golden hour, because what's so interesting is it's the only hour of the day in most people's calendars that are not currently being scheduled. And for many clubs, this is also a satellite club. So for those who may not be familiar with a satellite club, imagine, if you will, if Ames Rotary had a satellite club that met from 5:30 to 6:30, every member of that satellite is a member of this club. Is a member of this club. So it used to be that people would say, oh, yeah, I don't know if we should do that. We might lose members. Every member is a plus. It's not a negative. And what really happens is people decide which Rotary Club to go to based on their schedule. And if you want people to join this club, some of them are not going to be available to have lunch at Mondays at noon. And so it's, what can we do to give people more options to join us hand in hand? And so I can tell you that there are clubs that meet every week at noon, and they have a satellite club that meets every other week from 5:30 to 6:30. And to the average person that doesn't know, it looks like two clubs. When you drive into Boone, you will see there's a sign that says basically Rotary Noon Club. And there's a sign that says Rotary Evening Club. If you take a peek under the tent, they're the same club. But we take the opportunity to promote two clubs in town because you can go to, as a member, you can go to either one, and a lot of members go to both. They go to both because there's good people in both and they're fun. Last, new club models include cause-based, like eco clubs. As Rotary now is getting involved in basically protecting the environment, I am just waiting for somebody to take the last two bullet points and put them together in an area, in a community the size of Iowa City, Ames, or Des Moines, and say, we are going to start a satellite club whose service projects are focused on protecting the environment. And I'll tell you this, you will have to beat off young professionals with a stick because of the number of people that you will have interested in that club. But the environment's not the only thing that basically brings people in. There's lots of people that have passion about lots of different things. We're going to see an example of that in just a second. Last, I want to leave you with an example of what can happen if a club does just a couple of the things that we're talking about. So I mentioned there was a club that lost 50%. That club was just to the west of you, was a Rotary Club of Boone, was a club of about 70, let's call it 75 members a little over a decade ago. And we hit the same rough patch you guys did. We just did it earlier. Maybe that's because our club was a few years older than you, but I think it probably had more to do with some of the demographics in that community. But needless to say, we lost a lot of members. By 2016, we were down to 34 members. And I can tell you that people like Steve Dakin and others said, that's it. It stops here. We are not going to watch this deteriorate anymore. We are going to do something. We're going to act because we know how important Rotary has been to that community and to District 6000 for so many years. So our centennial was in 2019, and we set a 5-year goal to grow by 50% by June 30th, 2022, just a little bit more than a year from now. We also decided, by the way, to move a train, to find a train, to move a train out to the edge of Boone to welcome people to town. We didn't have a train. We didn't own the property, the DOT did. And I can tell you, of the two things we did, the biggest thing we did was not moving a 300,000-pound train. The biggest thing we did was the decision to start a satellite club to encourage more women, to encourage more spouses. A lot of the spouses couldn't come to a noon meeting. And the truth be told, Steve's wife, Leslie, my wife, Lisa, are a perfect example. They didn't really want to be in the same club with Steve and I. And you can't blame them, can you? They wanted to find their own way. They wanted to find their own way. But the other thing was, I mentioned young professionals. Leslie Dakin, Lisa, my wife, they knew what Rotary is about. But there are young professionals that don't know what Rotary is about. And they want to learn together as a couple. And so they come to Rotary together because it's a social event. It's a night out. It's an early evening out, if you will. So as of today, I'm going to share a few numbers, and my hope is that you see some of the same potential that we have seen. One, as of today, 31% of Boone Rotarians have a spouse in Rotary. 1 in 3. It's actually 34 now because it's changed in the last few days. 34. Think about if this club had the same ratio, 51% of your members would have a spouse in Rotary. And I can tell you that those families where partners are in Rotary, they are even better Rotarians because Rotary is more important in their life and they give more to the foundation, I believe. Number two, 43% of all Boone Rotarians are now women. 43%. And that number is going to climb to 50 in a short period. And I've said this, I said we're a club of women and men, men and women. I would say the same thing if I was visiting the club of Bloomfield. 80% of the club is women. I believe that club would be much stronger if they had a strong contingent of men and women, women and men. 43% of our club are now women. 47% of Boone Evening Rotarians have a spouse in Rotary. Okay, so you can see the number right away. There are more spouses in our evening club because you have more young professionals that are coming to Rotary together. 52% of Boone Evening Rotarians are under age 50. One of the key demographics, if you want to see how strong your bench is in Rotary, is to look at that number. You guys are already exceeding the district average. But Steve and I, we spend hours riding around Iowa as we travel to clubs. And one of the things that we look at the Ames community, we look at Iowa City and we just say, you know, in our eyes, some ways the streets are paved with gold only because the demographics here are so positive to the types of things that we're talking about. 76% of Boone Evening Rotarians are women. 3 out of 4. And the reason is 42% are educators. We totally surprised us. These were educators that couldn't come to lunch at noon. There was not a Rotary Avenue for them. And what's crazy is that it's not just Boone teachers. We have teachers from Ogden. We have a teacher from Ankeny. We have a retired teacher from Des Moines. We have a provost from DMAC. We have a nursing professor. You can just go right down the line. And what binds them is one simple idea: children's literacy. They have taken a cue from the Ames Morning Club that says, if you can get books into the hands of kids, good, great children's literature, if you can get those books into kids' hands at an early age, many will become voracious readers. And this last year, this club gave out 4,000 books to grade school kids throughout Boone County public and private schools. It's because this is what they believe in this, and Rotary gives them an avenue to actually make a contribution. Best of all, as of June 30th, Boone Rotary was only one new member away from growing 50% in 4 years, not 5. We would never, ever have believed this when we started down this path. I think there are a lot of people, when we set that 50% goal, they're like, what have you guys been drinking, right? But we had 3 new members proposed on July the 21st. And I can tell you, we already know that 10% goal, the challenge that we've all been given, we're going to hit it by the end of August. 2 months in to the new Rotary year. Last slide. Of the 65 clubs in District 6000, there were 11 clubs that actually grew membership in the last year of the pandemic, in this last year with the pandemic. I show them to you up here, but I call your attention to the 2 top, Nevada. Your neighbor to the east the fastest growing club in District 6000. They grew by 15%. They added 7 new members. Your neighbor to the west, second fastest growing club, they grew 4. If we count Abby Howie and Andrew Schrader, who we actually would have grown 13% or 6. But we're still hoping to maybe get some draft picks to be named later for those folks. But here's really the best part. The 2 fastest growing clubs are both pursuing the same strategy. They both have sunset clubs that meet from 5:30 to 6:30. And they're satellite clubs, so their members are members of the Nevada Rotary Club or the Boone Rotary Club. So with that, again, this is your club. You guys decide. Women and men, the men and women in this club, you decide what is right for your club. But our hope is that maybe we've planted some seeds here, because I can tell you this. Steve Bacon and I will we will do anything we can to help you guys, because we do believe that this club is just critically important to Central Iowa, to Rotary District 6000 and this community. So with that, I'm open to any questions.
Okay, we'll have to take questions separately.
Okay.
to our time. So if you would afterwards, please approach Dave or Steve, and we'll ask them. We want to honor the 1 o'clock football game, so we appreciate your time. To tie in a little bit to this, a quote that I came across, and obviously ties in with today. What really matters from the point of view of social capital and civic engagement is not merely nominal membership, but active and involved membership. We are not here to just raise members. We are here to raise members to serve the community and the district. Please keep that in mind. Place that in your heart. We've all been involved in some way, and we all have that opportunity to be further involved. And one of the other ways we're involved, and we will ask for your 2 gentlemen's autograph as part of our literacy program. One of you gets to sign, whose tail is this? The other one, whose feet are these? And these will be given at a well checkup for a 2-year-old and part of the literacy. So thank you for that. Well, with that, let's do the 4-way test. So if you'll please stand. Service above self. Of the things we think, say, or do. Is it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.